Hello, everyone. Hello, YouTube. Welcome back. It's Twilight, once more in the Wizard's Study. And to all three, currently sitting at 3 subscribers, to all three of you, thank you for your patience. I apologize, it's been so long since I've uploaded a video. Life kind of took over for a few weeks. There are a few things to take care of. I ended up helping my buddy shoot a short film over 6 days. And there just wasn't a lot of time to sit down and talk about nerd stuff. But here I am now, and today I want to talk about the hype train. Now, I've been riding the hype train my whole life. I love riding the hype train. I feel at home on the hype train. And what I mean by that is I've always been someone who has hyped up the movies and TV shows that I'm looking forward to an insane degree. Like, I'll tell people, oh yeah, this movie is going to be the greatest movie of all time. And I do this a lot, and sometimes it's not the best thing because sometimes it sets people's expectations and those expectations don't get met, and then they're disappointed. And sometimes this happens to me. Sometimes I go into a movie thinking this is going to be the greatest film I've ever seen, and it's just not quite. And usually that's disappointing. But I like that. I like to go in with these lofty expectations and then have gravity take effect. This is just how I like to engage with movies and TV because I like to get obsessive about my favorite movies. I like to really sink my teeth into them and analyze and break them down on the granular level, right? So it's just how I am, and so this is all to say I get so excited about movies and TV shows. And so in this video, I'm just going to go over my 10 most anticipated movies that will be coming out over the next few years. Let's get started. So, in 10th place, we have Fun, Good Luck, Don't Die. This is the next film from Gore Verbinski. He's one of my favorite directors. He did the original Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy. He also directed The Ring. He did Rango and the Lone Ranger, two really weird, really groovy, and in my opinion, underrated westerns. And then he did A Cure for Wellness, which was a very strange horror movie set in the Swiss Alps. And I liked every single one of those movies. The Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy, that original trilogy, is deeply important to me. It came out at a formative time in my life, and having Caribbean heritage, it resonated with me on a personal level. I know that's funny to say, but it did. That's the Pirates of the Caribbean film. So I've been hoping that Gore Verbinski would make another movie for a while now, and lo and behold, he's doing Have Fun, Good Luck, Don't Die, a science fiction actioner. And that's going to be coming out sometime in the next few years. I don't know too much about this movie, but given the talent behind the camera, I'm pretty excited for it. So that's 10th place, Have Fun, Good Luck, Don't Die, from director Gore Verbinski. In 9th place, Flesh of the Gods, from director Panos Cosmatos. Now, Panos Cosmatos did the movie Mandy in 2018. It came out in 2018, and that is one of my favorite movies ever made. It's in my top 5. I think it's second place. It's not that I wish that there were more movies like Mandy, but I'm so glad that Mandy exists, if that makes sense. Mandy is a epic high fantasy horror movie like no other. It captures something of the psychedelic that I really, really love. And it's not that I wish that there was more of this in other movies, but I'm really glad that we have at least one movie that tackles psychedelia in the way that Mandy does. It's demonic and haunting and disturbing, and it has my favorite ever performance from Nicolas Cage. Truly a piece of brilliant acting from him that I think for anyone who's skeptical about Nicolas Cage, this movie could be the movie that proves that he actually is a brilliant actor. He also gets to go, as they say, full cage in Mandy. So Panos Cosmatos did, his first movie was Beyond the Black Rainbow, so he's only done 2 movies so far, Beyond the Black Rainbow and Mandy. He did an episode for Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities a couple years ago called The Viewing, and because I love Panos Cosmatos so much, I kind of started thinking of The Viewing as his third film, but really it's just an episode of TV. It's less than an hour long. So his real third film is going to be Flesh of the Gods, which is a vampire movie set in the 1980s in Los Angeles, starring Oscar Isaac and Kristen Stewart. And in my opinion, that's a perfect recipe. So, Flesh of the Gods from Panos Cosmatos. I'll be trying to check it out as soon as it's available. It will probably be hitting the festival circuit first, before hitting a wide release. So we will see where it becomes accessible, but Flesh of the Gods in ninth place. In eighth place, Weapons from director Zach Kreger. Now, I watched The Whitest Kids in late high school, university, that kind of thing. It was Whitest Kids was extremely important to me. I loved their comedy show. To me, they're up there with The Kids in the Hall and Monty Python. And a few years ago, Trevor Moore, the leader of the Whitest Kids died suddenly in a freak accident. He was 41 years old. That might have been the first celebrity death that really messed me up. That and David Lynch really got me. I believe I cried on both occasions. So anyway, one of the other members of that troupe, The Whitest Kids is Zach Kreger. And Zach Kreger, shortly after Trevor Moore's death, would go on to direct Barbarian, which was an electric movie. It was unpredictable. It was shocking, but also it kind of played with horror tropes. It played with expectations. It had this kind of metatextual aspect to it that just added to the unpredictability and then ultimately to the insane payoffs. So I thought Barbarian was really good, but Zach Kreger's second movie, it's called Weapons. It's coming out in August this year, and I can't wait for it. It looks like a kind of retelling or variation on the Pied Piper of Hamelin. But what really gets me so excited about this movie is actually the behind-the-scenes backstory for it. So basically, Jordan Peele and Monkey Paw Productions wanted to acquire this film, but it went up in a bidding war, and I think it broke records for the deal that Zach Kreger got for this movie, which I believe, if I have my information right, Zach Kreger got an all-in deal from New Line Cinema that was something to the tune of like 38 million. I think 10 million of that is just his salary as director. But this movie was sought after. Jordan Peele, I believe, fired his management when they failed to acquire this movie from Monkey Paw Productions. And it looks like a pure horror vision from Zach Kreger. In fact, I believe Zach Kreger described it as a horror epic. So, Weapons. I can't wait. In seventh place, Elden Ring from Alex Garland. Now, I love Elden Ring. I love the game. I love the lore and the world building and the storytelling. I think that Elden Ring is it's some really great epic fantasy. And I've been intrigued by the idea of an Elden Ring movie for a while now. A few days ago, they officially announced that Alex Garland would be directing an Elden Ring movie for A24, which to me was the perfect version of that announcement. So, Alex Garland has directed 5 films so far, and he's written many more. He wrote a couple movies for Danny Boyle, including Sunshine from 2007. That's one of my... I love Sunshine. One of my favorite sci-fi films from the 21st century, I guess. Yes. And then Alex Garland would go on to direct Ex Machina in 2014. He did Annihilation in 2018. He did Men in 2022, which I think is an underrated film. Then he did Civil War in 2024, and he co-directed the movie Warfare with Ray Mendoza, and that came out earlier this year. And each of those 5 movies, I think, is exceptional in its own right. I think Alex Garland is one of those directors who really sinks his teeth in and comes to an understanding about the material that he is depicting. And so I think... But the other thing about Alex Garland is that he doesn't shy away from the weird the disturbing, and the psychedelic. And these are all elements that will be critical for making an Elden Ring movie that is, faithful to the game, to the gameplay, and to the experience of the game that that players will be used to, and I think will kind of expect to be given in some form in the movie. So I think Alex Garland is the perfect choice to helm an Elden Ring movie. And I'm just looking forward to it. I think we have a couple of really interesting video game adaptations coming out now. So in the world of video game adaptations into cinema, I think we're in a really good moment right now, historically speaking, for Elden Ring to be tackled as a story that could really light up the big screen in cinemas. So really looking forward to Elden Ring. In sixth place, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. Now this movie's coming out later this year. I think it's coming out in November, and it's going to star Oscar Isaac. And I can't really think of a more perfect marriage of story and storyteller. Guillermo del Toro is perfect for Frankenstein. He is as perfect to do Frankenstein as Robert Eggers was to do Nosferatu. Guillermo del Toro's whole filmography is about monsters being more human and humans being more monstrous than we like to think they can be. This thread connects all of Guillermo del Toro's movies. And his film Pan's Labyrinth from 2006 is, like with Mandy, it's in my top 5 movies of all time. It's up there. And he's done, some other wonderful, wonderful movies, like The Devil's Backbone, wonderful R-rated movies. And so a return to the R rating is something I'm really looking forward from Guillermo del Toro. And I think it looks like with this Frankenstein movie, he's going to really embrace the haunting darkness, but also the hard-hitting emotionality of Mary Shelley's book. Like, I remember, reading Frankenstein for the first time and feeling so disturbed by how Frankenstein's creation was being treated by the characters that it encountered in the book. And so Guillermo del Toro, I think is the perfect person to tell a story about that creature desperately desiring to be treated as human. And then other humans treating that creature monstrously. I think Guillermo del Toro is the perfect choice for that. I think he's going to nail it, and so I'm so excited for his adaptation of Frankenstein. In fifth place, Project Hail Mary. Now, this is going to be directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller. They did the Lego movie from a few years ago. They did 21 and 22 Jump Street, those remakes of the TV show. And they've been working for a few years on this film, Project Hail Mary. And it's going to star Ryan Gosling. And one of the things that I'm most excited for about Project Hail Mary is the cinematographer. So the cinematographer is Greg Fraser. Greg Fraser did the cinematography on Denis Villeneuve's Dune movies. He's done cinematography on Gareth Edwards' The Creator. He did the cinematography for he did the cinematography for Matt Reeves' The Batman. I think Greg Fraser excels at bringing larger than life fantasy, science fiction worlds to the big screen in a way that feels magical and yet fully grounded. So Project Hail Mary is based on a book that was written by Andy Weir, who wrote The Martian, and he also wrote a short story called The Egg, which is an excellent short story, one of my favorites, and I might read it here on this channel at some point. So I haven't read the source material. I haven't read the book. I'm not sure if I'm going to get to it before the movie comes out. But Project Hail Mary, this one, I'm just so looking forward to. And that's coming out in early 2026, I believe, spring 2026. All right. In fourth place, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. Now, I was pretty surprised when this was announced as his next movie. Christopher Nolan has done period pieces before. He's done historical movies before. He did Oppenheimer. That's a period piece. He did The Prestige. That's a period piece. But he's never gone so far into the past as he will go for The Odyssey. And I think it's a bold choice for his next story. And I'm so curious to see how he does it because Christopher Nolan is a very technologically focused storyteller. And so I think the Odyssey will be as far outside of his wheelhouse as it is possible to get. And I think, therefore, it is likely that he's going to take a unique approach to this story. I wonder if he's going to do his classical Christopher Nolan thing with, multiple timelines and kind of unchronological storytelling. Um, I wonder if he will go for a more traditional approach, more in line with some of the past historical epics that are kind of take on similar settings. Um, who knows? But I'm so excited to see what he ends up doing with it, and I think um, it will be interesting to see a different voice like Christopher Nolan's take on an epic historical period piece based on mythology. Um, So Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, I have very high hopes. I expect to be surprised by it. I expect it to be unique and different from anything we've seen before. And I hope that all of that manifests in a good way. So Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, that's in fourth place. In third place, Werewolf from Robert Eggers. I mean, Robert Eggers has done 4 films so far: The Witch, The Lighthouse, The Northman, and Nosferatu. Of those 4, The Northman is probably my favorite of the films, and I actually am surprised at myself for saying that because I would have thought it would be The Lighthouse, but I have to honestly say that on my rewatch of Robert Eggers' films, The Northman was the one that truly resonated the most with me. I think all of his films are excellent so far, and I expect Werewolf will be no different. It's set in the 1300s. Is it the 13th century or the 1300s? I can't remember, but it's set around that time. And Robert Eggers has said it's the darkest thing he's ever written. So, he did the vampire thing with Nosferatu. Now he's doing werewolves with Werewolf, and I'll be there on opening night. I have nothing much more to say about it except so far Robert Eggers could do no wrong in my books, and I just love his approach to the craft. I love his sensibilities and what he likes to focus on in storytelling. And I think Werewolf will be, hopefully, it will be his 5th knockout. So that's Werewolf. That'll be coming out on Christmas Day, 2026. So 2026 is going to be pretty stacked. And speaking of which, my second most hyped movie coming out in the next few years is Denis Villeneuve's Dune Messiah, coming out also in the holiday season of 2026. I think that one's scheduled for December 18th, 2026. So that's actually like within 1 week, we're going to get 2 incredible movies, except that Dune Part 3, Dune Messiah, will probably be moved to 2027. Because that happened to Dune Part 1 and Dune Part 2. They were, Dune Part 1 is supposed to be 2020, Dune Part 2 is supposed to be 2023. Both those films were moved to the next year. So, Dune Messiah from Denis Villeneuve. I love his adaptations of Dune. I love Frank Herbert's Dune books. The first Dune book is not my favorite of Frank Herbert's Dune saga. My favorite's probably Children of Dune. I love that book so much. I'm not attached to the outcome of getting a film of Children of Dune one day. I don't think that's likely, or it's less likely. But Dune Messiah is they're going to be starting shooting that pretty soon. And as far as Dune Part 1 and Dune Part 2 go, but also Denis Villeneuve's other sci-fi films, Blade Runner 2049 and Arrival, this guy understands large-scale science fiction world building with multiple planets. And there's stuff in Dune Messiah that I think, if they pull it off right, will make it some of the most electric stuff we've seen in the Dune films to this point. And there's one particular scene that I'm so excited to see on the big screen, and I don't want to spoil it. All I'll say is 2 words: stone burner. And if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. So, second place is Dune Messiah from Denis Villeneuve. And one added thing that makes me so excited for Dune Messiah is that they apparently have cast Robert Pattinson in the film, and I know who I think he should play. I'm not sure if that's who he's been cast as, but the Dune movies have this cast list that just gets increasingly more and more stacked with each movie they put out. So, Dune Messiah, December 18th, 2026. Again, opening night. I'm so excited for it. Now, in first place, the movie I am most looking forward to seeing in the next few years, and I don't know when it's coming out. I don't know that much about it. This director really likes to keep things. He likes to play his cards close to the chest. You don't find out that many details about this director's films until he's ready to release those details. And I have no idea when this next film is going to come out, but it's another film from Panos Cosmatos, and it's Necrocosm. Now, my understanding is that the production on Necrocosm was paused so that Panos Cosmatos could work on Flesh of the Gods. Necrocosm. I'm actually just going to call up the IMDb plot description for Necrocosm, because I think it basically says everything that you need to know about this movie. This is the movie that I am the most looking forward to seeing over the next few years. I think that if it delivers on what it is described as, it will even surpass Mandy for me. So the description on IMDb is Necrocosm, a phantasmagorical fantasy nightmare set deep within a strange galaxy where two lovers are torn apart as they try to survive a malevolent invasion. Need I say more? That to me sounds like someone reached into my brain and pulled out all my favorite things in this universe and put them together in a single pitch for a single film. So, Necrocosm from Panos Cosmatos. I expect we won't see that till at least 2027. But that is probably my most hyped film of the next few years. So, that's that. Those are the movies I'm most looking forward to seeing. Who knows if they're all going to make it out to release, some of them might get canceled, some of them might get delayed. Who knows? But right now, those are the movies that I'm riding the hype train for. And the hype train is just speeding down the tracks, man. I tell you. So, if you're like me, we're just going to have to wait a little bit. But Weapons will be coming out in August. That will kick it off. And if you're like me, you're going to need to be buying a few tickets to opening night screenings over the next few years. We're going to be blessed with we are going to get some amazing cinema over the next few years. And of course, all of this is me riding the hype train. All of this is me being overly excited for these stories that are coming out. But that's the way of things. That's how I like to do it. And I think that's it. So this has been another Twilight in the Wizard Study. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for giving your time to listen to me yap. To all three of my wonderful subscribers, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. And I'll see you in the next video when Twilight rolls around once again in this little corner of the internet. Okay, that's all for now. Take care. Bye.